Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivadadhadi Valabha Radhadhadi Gopi Janavalabha Girivadadhadi Janavalabha Yasodanandana Vrajagana Ranjana Vrajagana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vrajagana Ranjana Nandana Vrajagana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavalabha Girivadadhadi Navalabha Girivadadhadi Gopi Janavalabha Girivadadhadi Navalabha Girivadadhadi Yasodanandana Vrajagana Ranjana Nandana Vrajagana Ranjana Yasodanandana Vrajagana Ranjana Nandana Vrajagana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Mahamsa Bhagavacharya His Divine Grace H.D. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Gauda Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Prem Sako Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki ISKCON founder Srila Prabhupada Ki Shri Radha Krishna Ko Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Vrindavan Dham Ki Mayapur Dham Ki Navadvip Dham Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Ganga Mai Ki Tulsi Devi Ki Bhakta Devi Ki Shishi Radha Golokananda Ki Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Gora Premanandi All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevayam. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th Canto, Chapter 50, text number 19. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Na Vai Sura Vikatate Navai Sura Vikantate Darsayanta Eva Porusam Darsayan Teva Porasam Na Grinimo Vacho Rajan Na Grinimo Vacho Rajan Aturasya Mamur Satta Aturasa Mamur Satta Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Navaisur Vikantante Darsayan Yeva Purasam Nagrinimo Vachorajan Aturasya Murusata Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Navaisura Vikantante Darsayan Yeva Purasam Nagrinimo Vachorajan Aturasya Murasata Shri Bhagavan Vacha Navaisura Vikantante Darsayan Teva Purasam Nagrinimo Vachorajan Aturasya Mursataha. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Navaisura Vagantante Dasaryanteva Purasam Agririno no Vajravachan Turasavamurtate. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Navaisura Vigantante Dasyantyadeva Purasam Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. The Supreme Lord said, Na, do not. Vai, indeed. Sura, heroes. Vikantante, boast vainly. Darsayanti, they show. Eva, simply. Porosam, their prowess. Na, Grinimaha, we do not accept. Vacha, the words. Rajan, O king. Atorasa, of one who is mentally agitated. Mumursata, who is about to die. Translation. The Supreme Lord said, real heroes do not simply boast, but rather show their prowess in action. We cannot take seriously the words of one who is full of anxiety and who wants to die. So repeat, the Supreme Lord said, the real heroes do not simply boast, but rather show their prowess in action. We cannot take seriously the words of one who is full of anxiety and who wants to die. So we'll read Sanatana Goswami's commentary. Krishna answers sarcastically, taking it. Huh? There's a purport? Oh. All right, let me find that. There's a purport. I don't have a purport. Sanatana Goswami's purport. Yeah. So, was there one on? There was one on the screen. All right. Okay. So there's purports, but there's not one by Hriyananda Goswami or the disciples, as some people like to say, the new political correctness of now. All right, so we'll go back. There's Jiva Goswamis and Sanatana Goswamis we have here. Of course, there's many others, but Jiva Goswami just repeated part of what Sanatana Goswami said, so we'll just go straight to Sanatana Goswami. Very short. Krishna answers sarcastically, taking his words at face value. In order to instill eagerness in Jarasandha to fight with him, heroes do not show bravery by praising themselves. That is well known, Vai. Will you show bravery, being shamed by my words and being cowardly? We do not accept your words in the heart or ear. Why? You are agitated because you will kill yourself. These are incoherent words of persons about to die. Or you wish to die quickly by making me angry with your harsh words. So Om Aganda Tamarandasha Ganajana Shalaka Chaksar Om Yatamina Tai Shmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this type of, if you got this, you can imagine this big battlefield, and Jarasandha, he shows up with 23 armies. That means he's got his army, and then he's got some friends who are kings, other kings, who bring their armies. And so, even in the midst of all this, they can have a conversation. These huge armies. So that means that they're in the front of the battle. right? So Krishna or Arjuna's or Balaram, they're up front, and Jarsandra's up front. And they're the leaders. This is of course we don't see this nowadays in battling. Now battles pretty much done with politicians. They tell generals what to do, and then the generals tell somebody else what to do, and then they tell somebody else what to do. Is what's called a chain of command, which they have in the military. They always have this chain of command, that the information and management also, they similarly follow the structure, chain of command. And so it typically comes from the back to the front, whereas this we see that typically is from the front, from the back. Typically in war, sometimes you have the bravest ones in the front of the line, the ones that have the less fear. They're the ones up front, typically in battle. And of course, there's always special interest involved, when in war. There's always who's special. They're fighting for something. They're fighting for somebody. There's always some special interest. We see now, like what was the Civil War about? Because the people wanted the politically correct real answer is slavery. But there was some special interest. That was a special interest. Some corporations, some big, plantation owners, they had their special interest. Their business model was about to be disrupted, taken away. Cheap labor was about to, their business costs were going to go up. So all types of wars, you have this special interest. And typically, most of the people that do the fighting are the youngest kids. Those are the ones that get drafted. Even in the Civil War, you got 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20-year-olds that are the bulk of the army. And they're the ones that are pushed out in front and do the fighting. So, and that's, you look at almost every war, you got some special interest that is pushing some type of fight, or often sometimes retaliatory fighting. Someone attacks somebody, then you counteract. And that's what we kind of have here. We have a counterattack. We have Jarasandha who's attacking, and you have Krishna who's going to counterattack. And he's in this position of defending, right? So Jarasandha comes out with describes 23 armies. Krishna comes out with a small contingent, it says. Small contingent of soldiers. And of course, this is done like 17 times. This small contingent is because all these words have meanings. Here's got this big army, big powerful person. He's older. Jarasandha's like a couple of generations. He's like his grandfather generation. Krishna's a young boy, and Jarasandha just talks to him that way. You're just a boy. What Krishna really was, in a sense, was. Here he was, not even 16 years old, and he's going to fight in a battle. And then, here again, you got some of the youngest people on the battle standing in the front of the line, going to take on. And this is not, and the description is really there, how brutal this fighting is. I mean, just literally brutal, because it describes the rivers of blood. And these types of wars, when you have this tight, and these soldiers, are packed in pretty tight, they're arrayed in a certain formation, whether there's cavalry or foot soldiers or archers or, people on elephants, it's just the method to the madness. And they're all arrayed in a particular way. So Krishna, again, he appears weaker. If you look at it on paper, in a sense. Small contingent to describe. He's got this 23 armies facing him. But it's not a problem for Krishna. This is just not a problem at all for him. And him and Balaram really much make short work again. Well, this description is really the first time of these 17 attacks that are faced. Of course, there's 18 times, which is finally the end of Jarasandha. But these 17 attempts. So here we, this situation that's set up, Krishna is a small contingent of army. Jarsandra's got a huge army. When Krishna defeats him, the weaker overcomes superior. This weak army overcomes this big strength. And this glorifies Krishna even more because he's able to defeat such a formidable foe. And we see this repeated numerous times. And he gets in this arena. Here's another young boy. He gets in this wrestling arena with these huge men. And we see the pictures that are painted of this, the ISKCON pictures that are in the books. These huge, muscular, powerful men. And we can know that Jarasandha also was a hugely powerful person. And we have Kalyavana is going to enter the scene, who's just extremely, very powerful. I mean, their muscles are like iron, that you can't penetrate. And these descriptions are important because when Krishna takes these people down, and Prabhupada often made it very important that when you paint Krishna, you don't paint him or describe him as a very strong, powerful man, because that's not what Krishna is. It's very muscular. And you see this nowadays with, people who paint and different AI, they create this description of Krishna as this person that he really isn't. Prabhupada and ISKCON painters, he really repeatedly wanted to make it clear that Krishna is this cowherd boy, and he's not this huge buffed up guy been working out, super strong. That's not how he looks. He's sweet, but that's his opponent. That's another one of their fallacies. They understand Krishna. They see a weakness that's not there. So they think they can overpower him. But Jarasandha says, I'm not going to fight you. You're just a boy. I'll fight Balaram. Now, Balaram is really not that older than Krishna. He's older than Krishna, but he's not really very, roughly, they're basically the same age. But those statements are kind of like criticizing, right? So this is this boasting he's talking about here. That they're talking, basically, talking trash, it is described, and there's bragging, But here we got Krishna in another situation, like on the Battle of Kurukshetra, where they had the opposing army was very big. Arjuna's army was less as formidable, it appeared, not as many soldiers. Krishna had given up all his army to the other side. And so, again, the situation arises where Krishna appears to be weaker, but he's able to beat the opposing force. Every demon he kills, each one of them, whether it's the Aghasura, Keshava, all these are huge demoniac individuals. Even Purnamasi, not Purnamasi, but Putana, thank you. I mean, he's a baby, and you got this demon coming in, and how can he defend himself in such a powerful Trinavarta? How can he defend himself? So every situation, it seems like Krishna is the underdog. But we know that Krishna, and he proves himself to be otherwise. So this actually is glorious, and then we see these victories are as glorious. Even the demigods see these as glorious, and sometimes Krishna will play with his opponent. Even Hiranyakashipu, when he came as Nrsingadev, he played with him for a while until the right time for his death, because he can't kill him during the day, can't kill him at night. All these boons he had, so it had to be the right moment. But until that moment, he just played with him, and he killed all his soldiers, one against the world almost. Krishna, but this is how beautiful Krishna is, how glorious Krishna is. There's no hero bigger than Krishna, and we have in society, we always come up with different types of heroes, and some of them there are realistic heroes. They have these Medal of Honor winners, whatever these people are that do really sacrifices in battle. They're heroes, they're bravery. But Krishna is on the top of all of it. And he repeatedly says this, not says it, but we see this over and over again as these pastimes. So here we have a situation where, basically talk is cheap. Krishna's there's a communicating back and forth. And you can imagine in warfare, there's a lot of fear. And you have to have a certain amount of faith, similarly, that you're going to make it through a particular situation, a battle. And so there has to be this kind of a motivation thing, that part of a war. You got to pump yourself up in order to overcome that particular fear, to get into a battle where, if you've been in wars, and like the description that are given in Srimad Bhagavatam, and all these battles are pretty horrific. Like just already mentioned, there's rivers of blood and arms and parts of bodies lying on the battlefield, and broken down chariots and pieces of even elephants and arrayed. So if you've seen this and then you walk away from it, you win a battle, and then your next battle comes, what's going to be what's about to take place. Whether you might have even been wounded before, and you're about to go through this again. So it takes a lot of motivation. So therefore, one of the things even described all the time, if you either die on the battlefield or be a victor on the battlefield, if you die on the battlefield, you go to a heavenly planet. There's no loss. So this is like, okay, this is a motivator. There's nothing, even if I die, there's some benefit going to come from it. So these types of things, you see, that got to motivate people. Sometimes you see that there's the right and wrong thing. That's sometimes is the big motivator also. It's not that that's not there. The righteous thing that's happening, and whether it's defense is an easy one. So there's an attacker. Somebody's going to come and defend. Attack your home. You can kill. There's one of the 5 types of people that you said you can kill. One who's like sets fire to your house. One who tries to steal your property. One who tries to attack you with weapons. And one tries to take your wife. And so these are different types that are justifiable if you use force in defending. And so those things are there. So those are naturally instinct of self-preservation. You'll react, but just get in. This battle. You march into a particular location like this is described here. Jarasandha shows up. These armies, they march to a particular location. They know something's going to happen, and then Krishna shows up with his army. He's already there. He comes out of the kingdom. This is in Mathura, and so this is this talk, the sarcastic words that go back and forth, and you have to be kind of puffed up, as it's described here, as boasting in a vain way. It's described because he's older, he's bigger, he's got a bigger army, so he thinks that the outcome is assured to him, but it's not. And so we know, as the story goes, that Krishna destroys the entire army and Balaram and his soldiers. And his soldiers walk out. There's not one described. They remain intact. So it describes that maybe there might be some injuries, but not one of his soldiers are killed. This is the story. It's not a secret who wins the battle, but to the extent that not one of the soldiers are harmed, or not necessarily harmed, but they're fully intact. That's what is described in Srimad Bhagavatam. So then they capture Jarasandha. It's done. Kills him, pretty much his entire army. This was Krishna's plan. Now this person who's been puffed up, boasting, right, defeated, tied up by Balaram, about to, wanting to really finish him off, is ashamed. He's humiliated by a boy, right? a small boy, or really two boys, but Krishna wants to let him go. He tells Balaram, who's tied him up with the rope of Varuna, that he wants to let him go because he wants this repeat. He wants to systematically go through not just Jarasanda's army, but all his friends' armies and kill them one at a time. Similarly, there's other situations, and this is considered compassion. This is not really what we consider compassion, because Krishna wants him to build up another army, come back. So there's a motivating thing there. We have situations where, like, Asvatthama was captured by Arjuna, tied up, right? And Draupadi wanted him released. She didn't want his mother to go through feel the same thing that she felt. So there's, and then Rukmini, where Krishna had tied up Rukmi, right? When he stole Rukmini, that those pastimes are coming up in two chapters from now. This is 50, that's 52. And he kidnaps Rukmini. So in the ensuing battle there, and as they're fleeing, he captures Rukmini, ties him up, but then Rukmini wants him released. So that's some compassionate, it's her brother. She has some compassion for her brother. So, but similarly, like, we're all tied up by material nature. Material nature's got us bound pretty tightly. And the only way we can untie ourselves is with the mercy of Guru and Gauranga. That's the only way. And this particular condition that we're in, the battle we're having to deal with constantly, with the modes of material nature, that our only chance of spiritual survival is to take shelter of the spiritual master and Lord Chaitanya. And that comes given to us in the form of Krishna's holy name. So that's the way we get free from our material entanglement. Ultimately, all these people who were freed eventually didn't learn a lesson, like they had to come back. Jarasandha kept coming back 17 times. And then the 18th time he comes back with Kalyavana, Kalyavanas. And then this huge, formidable force that was on both sides of Mathura. And we've told the story about Kalyavana. That's going to be told in next chapter. And Kalyavana was given a boon, right? That he could not be killed by any Yadava. And so when you imagine the trash talking that person he can do. We're talking about how Jarasandha, he's going into a battle of a bunch of Yadavas, and he knows that not one of them can kill him. His father, this story is told in the Vishnu Purana and the Harivamsa Purana. That's where I read the story in the Harivamsa Purana. That his father was in the assembly, with the Yadavas, and there was his brother-in-law was a eunuch or something, and they were laughing at him, And of course, here you talk about how when you have this type of, you're a king, you're some type of big person, when you're made fun of or your family's made fun of, you can become pretty, really infuriating. You can get, it cuts to you. So he, like most, you see this story repeats it, they performed this huge austerities. And he wanted a son that could avenge, that could kill these Yadavas, right? Because they made fun of him. He could get the revenge. And it's talked about he would eat iron, like that would be part of his diet. It's severe austerity. And of course, Lord Shiva gives him as a boon. And his boon is he wanted a son, a powerful son. So that was Kalyavana. We know Kalyavana in the next chapter. We're going to read about how this battle continues. And he, because Krishna was, he was born in Mathura. Technically he can't kill him either. He can't kill Kalyavana. So what happens is that he flees the battlefield and has him chase him into the cave where Muchakunda is. And has Muchakunda kills him. So you think you're going to trick. Of course, he was a result of what his father wanted. But Krishna is the supreme intelligent. You're not going to get over on Krishna. You're not going to trick him in any shape, form, or fashion. He's been there, he's done it. He knows, we might not realize it, And it's kind of, he's a product of a desire of his father. But then you have all these soldiers, that live in all these kingdoms where these demons are. So they assemble these soldiers, these men. And it's just karma. If you look at it's karma. Even in history, if you're German, and you're born in Germany, and you got Hitler comes and takes power, and he starts this huge war, right? He has like-minded people around him, but the general populace are the ones who suffer, right? Because of it. When you have this demoniac leadership, it causes huge problems on the entire society. And that's just, sometimes he's always the go-to guy, Hitler, because of that. But then you have people that are worse than Hitler, like Stalin, who, the things that he's done, and there's in Cambodia, it's just on and on. We have these demoniac individuals. And then, of course, there's the population suffers. And then the soldiers who are in the militaries of these people that get out and have to fight. We had talked even like the Civil War. That just being born in a particular place, you had to take sides. Even the generals, Robert E. Lee, whatever, they were all in a Union army, one army, before the Civil War. Then they split. They had to take sides. They had to leave. They were generals already. They were West Point graduates. A lot of these generals, because they were born in the South. That's their bodily identification. They, aligned themselves with the South, and then they fought with the South. Ultimately, it was to their own ruin. And then ultimately, they have to suffer because of it. Even to the point, even like Arlington National Cemetery was the home of Robert E. Lee. It was in Virginia, And so when the battle started, when they're fighting, like Lincoln, they confiscated his property, and then that's where they made the memorial. That's where they buried all the soldiers. For him, that was he didn't mind in a sense, because he was a warrior, he was a soldier, so he didn't take it as a great offense that all these men were being buried on his farmland, his farm, his family. So anyway, the amount of suffering that goes on because of war is just constant. We see that in the material world, there's really hardly a time when there's really no conflict at some part on the planet. There's always conflict. There's always suffering. And when they say this place is a miserable place, but we have people that are enjoying, right, in certain places, whether you go to, like Las Vegas is a place of enjoyment, but really it's a place of suffering. It's billed and advertised and promoted as a place of enjoyment, but the reality, it's a place of suffering. They have now this sports betting that's going on, and this gambling is such an addictive disease that it just wreaks havoc on the people that are addicted. And then now you have a society that promotes this. You don't have to even go to these places. You have a phone now with these apps that you can do all of this stuff right on your phone. And actually bet away your paychecks, your possessions, and it's promoted. States, we have lotteries, and the states, are promoting it. So it makes it difficult. So then they kind of try to do a little bit about, okay, there's Gamblers Anonymous, or you can, call this 800 number, but it's really insignificant. The damage is already done before something like that ever comes. There's not really a lot out there preventing this, except for like Krishna consciousness, Vaishnava devotees, who try to get people ahead of time to understand that this is suffering. You're going to suffer if you engage in these types of activities. There's really no gain. The system is actually set up. You're not going to win against these people who actually make these apps and set these systems up. You're not going to beat the house. It's designed in such a way that they're going to win. But people, it's some kind of an addictive rush or this adrenaline, it's a sense gratification. They think they might win. And they might win once, but they're going to lose 3 times, right? So they win 1 time and lose 3 times, but they think that winning is going to overcome it. So, unfortunately, these heads of state, they drag people down into an uncivilized condition. And there's a Christian saying that the road to hell is paved with good intention. They might speak one thing, but until you have to actually do it. And now, once a person turns back to Krishna, and you make efforts to be with God in some form, whether it's Krishna or another form of Krishna, another expansion of Krishna, if one makes sincerely effort to try to understand their relationship and then turn back, that's an intention. That doesn't lead one to hell. It's this forgetfulness that constantly arises, that this battle with one's faith. And oftentimes, Maya is so strong. We talked about how Jar Sunda here gets tied up, and how we're tied up with by material nature, that to free ourselves is so difficult. It's almost like the house wins. Again, the house being Maya. On our own, we can't do it. We have to take shelter of the devotees. We have to have the association of devotees. We have to have the association of the Guru, and we have to have the mercy from the Supreme Lord himself, which is coming down from Goloka to take shelter. It's the only way. We have to have, that's the only way we build our particular strength. And so instead of going on a battlefield and boasting about how we're going to defeat you, we take the opposite. It's the humility. I can't make it without your shelter. I'm struggling very hard. I need the mercy of the devotees. So that's the opposite. Boasting is not going to get you there. It's going to be humility is the path that a Vaishnava takes in order to achieve his success or her success. This is very important, So, anybody got any questions, any comments? Yeah. Okay. So Drishna made the point when I made the statement: the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's what is good. He made the point. You got to know what good is. That's very important. It's got to be good is. Yes. Yeah. What society promotes as good is poison. Reality is really poison in different forms. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Jai. Prabhupada ki jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvandam Maravindanalayatakam Varhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Akom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakale Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adipurusham
Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Samyavadi Vashtacharisattarane Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gora Bhaktarinda Shri Krishna Gadadhar Shiva Sade Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sade Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sade Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sade Gora Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jai Nityananda Gadadhar Shiva Sade Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Gora Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Bo Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol, Tagora, Hari Bol. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Radhe. Goloka Nanda Radha Jaya Radha Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Nanda Radhe. Goloka Nanda Radha Goloka Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bo. Jai Om Vishnu. Paramahamsa Pakavacharya. Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur. Mai Ki, Ganga Mai Ki, Tosi Ki, Shishi Radha Golokananda Ki, Samaveda Bhaktarinda Ki, Gaura Premananda Ki. All glories to the assembled. All glories to the assembled. All glories. All glories to Shri Guru.
Sarvadvasnapanam Parambijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakam Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amitani Kala Etadrishi Kavabhyam Kipavang Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajani Nanaraga Trinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Suhishuna Amani Namanadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamaye Mama Janmani Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Hoitaki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patitam Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vabhata Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrashim Vachintaya Nayanam Galadashu Daraya Varanam Gad Gadarudaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahaneva Vishyati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Bravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahename Ashlishava Padamratam Banastumam Adarshanam Marmata Karotuva Yatatava Vidadatulam Pato Mat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names you've invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth